Okay, so this happened to me a couple of years ago, and it still messes with my head when I think about it. I was in college at the time, living in an off-campus apartment with my buddy Mark. It was a typical student apartment, cheap rent, thin walls, sketchy neighbors. But we liked it because it was close to campus and had decent space. One night, Mark and I were just chilling, watching some dumb movie, when my phone rang. It was a random number, but I answered it because I thought it might be someone from school or whatever. You know how it is. Sometimes you just don't think twice. I answered with a simple, hello, but all I heard on the other end was breathing. Not heavy, not like some dramatic horror movie breathing, just quiet, steady breathing. I thought it was a bad connection or a prank, so I said, "Who is this?" But no response, just more breathing. I hung up, figuring it was nothing, and told Mark. He laughed and said, it was probably someone messing with me. I shrugged it off, but about 10 minutes later, the same number called back. I didn't answer right away, but it kept ringing and ringing, so finally, I picked up again. This time there was no breathing, just silence, dead silence. "Who is this?" I asked again, louder this time. Still nothing. I hung up. Mark started joking around, saying it was probably one of our friends playing a prank, but we didn't have time to think much about it because a few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from the same number. It just said, "I'm outside." At this point, I started getting a little freaked out. I showed Mark, and he laughed it off, saying someone was definitely trying to scare me. But when we looked out the window, there was no one there. Our apartment was on the second floor, and the only thing outside was the dark parking lot. Nothing unusual. I figured it was someone pulling a prank, so I texted back, "Very funny. Who is this?" No reply. We went back to watching the movie, but now I was on edge. Then about 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Another text from the same number. It said, "I'm coming inside." Now my heart was pounding. I got up, checked the front door, made sure it was locked. I even checked the windows. Everything was secure. Mark was still trying to play it off, saying it had to be one of our friends, but something about it didn't feel right. The texts were too weird, too specific. I texted back, "Not funny, man. Leave us alone." A few minutes went by, and then another text came in. "I'm already here." That's when I heard it, a faint sound from down the hall. It was so quiet, I almost didn't notice it at first. It sounded like something brushing against the door of my bedroom. I turned to Mark, and he heard it too. We both stood up listening. My bedroom door was shut, but we could hear something moving around inside. The apartment was small, and there was no way someone could have gotten in without us knowing. We checked the front door, checked the windows, everything was still locked. I crept toward my bedroom, heart racing, and Mark followed close behind. I reached for the doorknob, but before I could turn it, my phone buzzed again. This time the text said, "Come in." I froze. My hand was on the doorknob, but I couldn't bring myself to open it. I looked back at Mark, and for the first time, he wasn't laughing. He was pale, and I could tell he was freaked out too. I don't know what made me do it, but instead of opening the door, I slowly backed away. We grabbed a couple of things, and without saying a word, we left the apartment and went straight to the building security office downstairs. I didn't care if it was a prank or not. I wasn't taking any chances. We told the security guard what happened, and he agreed to come up and check the apartment with us. We walked back up together, and when we got to the door, everything was still locked. The security guard opened it for us, and we stepped inside, but everything seemed normal. No one was there, no sign of anyone breaking in. My bedroom door was still shut. The security guard opened the door, and inside, nothing. Everything was just as I left it. No one there, no one hiding. He left, and we tried to brush it off, telling ourselves it was probably just someone messing with us, maybe hacking my phone or something. But here's the part that still makes my skin crawl. Later that night, after we finally calmed down and tried to get some sleep, I got one last text from that number. It said, "You left the door unlocked." And when I checked, the door to my bedroom, the one I was sure I had locked, was wide open.